Good Friday morning. Welcome to Real Talk. My name is Jerry Miller. It's a pleasure to be with you on the I Love CVille Network. We are live for Charlottesville, Central Virginia, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world. This an insider's guide to real estate across Central Virginia, powered by the Yes Team. Our star of the show, Keith Smith, on hiatus, taking a brief recharge. However, we have someone in his seat that is more than capable, an award-winning broadcaster himself, Michael Guthrie. In his seat, Michael Guthrie, my friend, good morning.
Good morning. I just want everybody to know that I've got in honor of Keith and Yonna, I got my
socks.
My reindeer socks on this morning. Keith known for his crazy socks, so I decided I'd wear a pair just so I can make sure he knows we're thinking about him.
Of course, Michael Guthrie of Real Estate Matters, 1070 WINA on Saturday mornings, the CEO and managing broker of Roy Wheeler Realty Company. You've brought two rock stars with you to the show, Michael.
Well, actually, Keith brought him to the show. I'm just here to try to help you keep them in line as much as we can. But Keith thought it would be a great idea. Keith and Yonna both, and a lot of folks don't know this, but Yonna plays a significant role in our company, as does Keith. But Yonna is our mentor coach and has been doing that for a number of years and works with me in regards to the folks that choose to come to Roy Wheeler and open up their businesses under our umbrella. And so Keith thought it'd be a cool idea to bring a couple folks on. One, Ryan, pretty much brand new out of the gate with his license and working on his first contract right now, and Alex, who's been with us now for a little over 3 years, and just to have a great conversation about why real estate and things that they've already learned about the business. And so anyway, I said, yeah, Keith, that sounds like a great idea. You choose who you want to have on, and I'll kind of ride along and do the best I can with Jerry to keep the thing moving along.
Fellas, thank you kindly for joining us on the program. Why don't we start with perhaps the more seasoned of the two, and Alex Tiscornia.
Yeah.
I think your ideas for the program of kind of getting a snapshot of what it's like breaking into the industry, gaining clients, gaining some experience is fantastic. Alex.
Thanks for having me again today, and hey to Keith and Yonna down there in the Caribbean.
Let me just point you guys in the direction I think Jerry is talking about in regards to it initially starting out, just about why real estate. There are a lot of different businesses that you could have opened, your own business. You could have done a lot of different things, and yet you chose real estate because I want us to talk about what that looks like, because I'm sure there are people watching, or whether it's live or they listen to it later, that are interested, have always thought about maybe getting their real estate license, and so why, and then we'll kind of talk about the surprises, the things that it's not just about because I like looking at homes kind of answer. So for sure start with Alex, but just in your kind of introductory comments, talk about why it is you chose to do this, because you've done other things as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a pretty good history with the service industry, and at its core is serving others and serving their needs. And being in real estate, it gives me a bigger platform to be able to help folks along with one of the biggest decisions that they make. So a little bit of, I get to use a little bit of my service industry background, but also my psychology degree to help with the sale and the negotiation, and gauging emotionally, where clients and where folks are at, because that's a lot of it is gauging and keeping your emotions in check and realizing that, ultimately if one contract falls through, there's going to be another one later. But ultimately, at its core, getting in the industry is service, and Michael always talks about it, leading with a servant heart, and you're there to do best for your clients, and sometimes there's a little bit of hand holding and back rubbing, to get them through the pre-approval process all the way to closing on a house. But it's a privilege to be along for the ride with people from start to finish, and ultimately serving them.
Your good buddy, and Michael, why don't you get in here? Your good buddy, Christopher Hudsmith, says Alex is the best outdoorsman in Charlottesville, Virginia. Welcome, Keith Smith, watching the program. Our buddy, Chris Jensen, watching the show right now. Ray Cadell, Roger Voyenze. Two strong guys right here.
Yeah, absolutely, and exactly what Alex just said. I kind of call it the warm fuzzies of the business. You can be in this business to make money, for sure. You want to make business. You want to take care of your family. But we talk a lot about being relational versus transactional. And the best way, as it relates to being relational, is that warm fuzzy thing that you're helping people make the biggest financial decision that they've made in their time frame, and that can happen 3 or 4 times because they buy a bigger house and that kind of thing, and it's still the biggest investment they've made. Ryan, you were in your own business prior to making the decision to get in. Now, you had some real estate background before.
That's right.
But I think it'd be fun for people to hear, you moving back to Charlottesville and how you moved back and what you did for a while before you decided to get in this wild and crazy business.
So yeah, I had a license in DC for a number of years, and I'd never really gotten into sales. I was doing broker price opinions. So this is right after the crash, so there was a lot going on, and that just became my job. It was pretty demanding, and I enjoyed it. I was really learning the market, and I intended to get into sales. But then my wife and I started talking about moving back to Virginia. We're from Lynchburg, and we knew we wanted to come back this way. She graduated from UVA. But I knew I wanted to try something new while, we didn't have kids at the time, and I wanted to try something creative. So I got into mushroom farming, and I started my own mushroom farm in Earlysville and sold to restaurants downtown.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. To be honest, it wore me out a little bit, and although it was fun to create a good product that people really enjoyed, it was repetitive. It was I had a process down, and so I got a little, it was just the same thing every week. So what I really enjoyed about it was the interacting with the chefs and the managers and the rest of the restaurant staff. So having been in real estate, I was thinking about what's next. So I decided to get my license again, and now I still have that interaction, which I really enjoy, but every day is a new day. It's new challenges. So it's a lot of fun to meet those challenges and work through them, and so it's been a lot of fun. And like Alex says, it's all about those relationships and helping people. And if I don't know how to help them, then I have plenty of support at Roy Wheeler, and so it's just finding that answer and getting through those challenges.
I'd love to hear why Roy Wheeler, and maybe I'll ask that question since you are the CEO and managing broker. I have heard from so many people in this industry the training and the back-end support and the infrastructure and the sense of family that comes within the company. I am curious of why, especially you had connections to other firms growing up in the neighborhood that you did, where you could have gone. You chose Roy Wheeler. Why Roy Wheeler?
You just touched on all the things, family and, with the mentorship by Keith and Yonna and Michael, and also other agents, as you're working your way up the ladder in the company, people start to notice more that you're doing and saying, hey, good work on that, or hey, if you need a little bit of help with that, or even just catching someone in office that you might not have ever spoken to a whole lot, but you get recognition and just asking, for a little bit of information. The other day I had to ask for a surveyor because I just was exhausting surveyor after surveyor, and John Updike, lets me know, hey, I got a long list of them. Here you go for it. So that intercompany connection of, keeping the ball rolling, not just per agent, but also for the whole company, has really made me feel comfortable. But back to the education and the mentorship. We do weekly meetings. We do, Keith and Yonna make themselves available. Michael makes himself available, and at its core, response time is big in real estate. And sometimes you just need an immediate answer. And I can tell you that at any point I've ever need an answer, early in the morning or late at night, there's someone to pick up the phone and talk me through it. If I don't know the answer to something like Ryan was saying.
Before you hear from Ryan, I want to give both these guys a shout out in one aspect of why Roy Wheeler. Yesterday, an agent who has been awesome to everybody and has been really helpful to people was going to show property up in northern Albemarle, and for whatever reason, she just felt a little bit uncomfortable going up there and doing it. It was going to be like 5 o'clock or whatever, so it was going to be kind of dark and everything. So an email went out within the company about, hey, I'm doing this, can anybody help me? And, I'm thinking, I sure hope somebody, reaches out to her, because I was driving back from Virginia Beach after giving a presentation to a real estate company down there, and I thought, if nobody does, maybe I can get there by 5. I'm in my head going, Jerry, you wouldn't have believed it. There were like 7 or 8 people within just like that said, I'll meet you there, I'll meet you. And it wasn't just people that lived around Northern Albemarle. It was somebody from our Design Crossroads office. They were going to come a distance to do this for this person. And I said to one of the staff members this morning, that was so encouraging to me because it just epitomizes who we are. That it is about encouraging each other and helping each other, and we want everybody to reach their full potential. And one of the ways you do that is by having other people cheering you along the way, supporting you. And in that situation, and it turned out, there were several people who do it, but it turned out Ryan, we were meeting to talk about this show today, and he said, I got to leave by 4:30. Well, the reason he had to leave by 4:30 is because he had promised he was going to see this gal, meet her at this property. And that is amazing. And then today, it's Friday. It's 30-some degrees outside. It's raining, and we're in front of the Bel Air Market all day today, ringing the bell. And we'll be there all day tomorrow, ringing the bell for the Salvation Army. And before that, it was the Blue Ridge Area Food Bank. And before that, it was the Toy Lift and Habitat for Humanity, Rake-a-thon. I mean, folks just step up and say, yeah, I want to make a difference. I want to run a good business, but I want to make a difference in the community. And I think that's something that this thing that happened yesterday was just so cool. But I'm stealing Ryan's thunder, but I wanted to toss that in there.
Jump in here, Ryan.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was the least I could do. Becky's just a few feet from me in the office, and she's one of the people I can turn to for help, one of the many people. So yeah, I mean, what Alex was saying as well, I mean, there's so much support. I never feel like the answer isn't, right there, text or a phone call or just leaning, through the door to another agent's desk. So I'm really happy to be there. As well.
How did the experience in DC in the real estate game help you transition to Charlottesville and Central Virginia?
So as far as pricing goes, I feel like I have a bit of a leg up there getting started. So, and using the Paragon. So when I was in real estate, it was the MRIS in DC, which is now Bright, but it's not much of a jump. So right off the bat, I started doing open houses, and I would immediately do a CMA just to research it, preview comparable properties. So yeah, I felt like that was, that puts me ahead of some agents just getting started where they're learning those systems and pricing. Of course, this is a different market, so there's, there's definitely some adaptation there. But I also knew where I lacked. And so that's why when I was interviewing brokers, I really I wanted someone that put an emphasis on training new agents and continued training, because I don't want to tell people that I'm the best man for the job if I don't think that I'm the best man for the job, and that's where education comes in. So that's why I ultimately went with Roy Wheeler and Michael, because the regular classes to keep us informed, and it's always changing too. So that's been huge, and I'm really taking advantage of all that and everything CAR has to offer as well. They have amazing classes and instructors over there. So that's been huge, and knowing what I need to learn has been really helpful. And there's a lot, and I'm learning a lot as I go along. But I think just having done it before, I mean, some people jump into this and they don't realize that this is a small business, and it takes a lot of personal sacrifice and investment, but financial investment too. So I was also a lot more prepared in that respect to kind of know exactly what I'm getting into and what it takes to succeed. But always learning.
So just to follow up to that, and we talked about this a little bit yesterday, there are people watching, people watch this show every Friday and look forward to it, and Keith and Yonna do a fantastic job of bringing lots of different types of people in. And I think the folks who watch on a regular basis, probably it's whet their appetite as it relates to real estate, and something that they've thought about. And I think the big thing, one of the big things about real estate is that you are your own boss. As you guys join the company, we talk all the time about the fact that it's your business. Even though you're brand new in the business, you're opening up your own real estate company, and you're giving Roy Wheeler the privilege, in my opinion, of opening up that business under our umbrella. That's the way I think about it. And that my job is to create a culture that empowers you to be able to be as successful as you want to be, whether it's a small business or a medium business or you want to be a mega business, right? So there are people that I think have had their had their appetites whetted. I guess the question I would ask and have you both answer is, if somebody's thinking about getting their license, talk a little bit about the process for sure in regards to how you had to do what you had to do to get there, but then also, I mean, obviously you both chose Roy Wheeler, and we, oftentimes, on my radio show, I don't talk about Roy Wheeler because it's really a radio show for everybody. But this is Keith and Yonna, Roy Wheeler Realty Company, so I think we can kind of pat ourselves on the back a little bit in this situation. Talk about, one, the process, what you got to do to get through it, and then two, what was really important to you as you were getting into the business and opening up your own business, and why Roy Wheeler was the answer for that.
Good question.
I'm going to let you take this one since you're
Sure. So the first time I got my license, I did the in-person classes because I do think that's helpful and important. Teachers can really tell you, allow you to be more prepared for the actual test. This time, because I was running the farm, I decided to do online classes, and and those are also really good. I made my way through those, but one thing, and this is something I definitely learned before. Once you take that test, that is you're not necessarily prepared to be an agent. So that's, again, going back to picking somewhere where I knew I was going to get that continued education. So again, yeah, so having those ongoing classes and the support, and Yonna, of course, and Keith and everybody else at Roy Wheeler has been great. So yeah, don't go into the test thinking, this is I'm gonna walk out, I'm gonna pass that test, and I'm going to be able to do this. There's a lot more that goes into it. There is some great information there, and legal. There's a lot of it is the legal information, which is very important. You don't want to get in any trouble doing or saying the wrong thing in this business. But yes, it's you definitely want to keep that going afterwards.
What do you think, Alex?
I would agree. And moving into maybe a different subject too is finding the right fit after you've gotten through the exam. And one thing that Ryan and I both did is we went around to different brokerages, and I think you're going to make a decision based off of two things, and those are tangible things and those are feelings. And sometimes you want to go with your gut, and that's what I have trusted with myself in regards to making that decision. And as far as an ultimate decision with Roy Wheeler, I think another thing that makes Roy Wheeler different is that Michael is a non-competing broker. And, it's a little more intimidating when you've got, a big shot like Michael. Everybody knows him in town. I mean, he can probably
Mayor Charlottesville over here.
Yes, I mean, well,
please no.
Competitiveness in the office, but also this guy can beat me on the track right now. With his health right now, he's, running faster than he ever has. And back to feelings, I just got such a good feeling, when I went to Ednam and connected with people, and connecting with people that might not be a realtor in 10 years from now, and learning from them. But I think, part of the biggest thing, like you said, is once you've taken the test, you're actually just starting over. You're about to get into the game, and it's really important to get that feel and find the right fit with the right company. Everybody's going to offer something a little bit different, but at the end of the day, those tangible things might not be as good as the feelings you get with the company. And there's plenty of tangible perks from working at Roy Wheeler, but at the end of the day, it just felt like the right fit.
Yeah. I think we've all mentioned that the personal note from Michael was a big part of our decision. Anybody that knows Michael knows that is into
the power of the
big
note.
into the handwritten note. So, but it made a difference.
Yeah.
Let's thank some of the people watching the show. We'll give some love to some of the sponsors. Michael O'Brien loves what he's seeing right now. You're getting some props from Tom Romer and Christy Adams as well. Michael Guthrie, Julie Ballard says hello.
Julie's a brand new agent with us. She had her license with another company, and it wasn't the right fit. And a couple of our agents told her about us. And in fact, an agent from another company, actually very good friends with Julie, said, you got to go talk to Michael Guthrie and Roy Wheeler. So she just joined us this week, and is joining our Greene County office. So we're really excited about having her. And thanks for the shout out, Julie.
Justine Montgomery, thank you, Michael, Yonna, and Keith, supporting me as a new agent, as a client care coordinator, awesome mentors. Christopher Eagle watching the show. Ray Cadell just shared the program as well. 5 real estate firms watching the show. We will thank Pearl Certification for being a part of this program. A fantastic barometer of measuring the efficiency of your home, Michael.
Yeah, absolutely. Pearl Certification is an extraordinary marketing tool. If you're a real estate agent listening that is something that you want to have your listing go through and to see if it can be certified from an energy efficient standpoint. But also, if you're a homeowner, you could do that without having your house on the market, and they'll come in and do an evaluation and tell you the things that you need to do to get it to a certain place, so that when you do sell your house, you'll be in a position to have it certified, and you're going to save money along the way, and you're going to have better quality of life because your house is not going to be as drafty and things like that. And Joe Gentile, the guy who is a representative, he is just a fantastic guy. I consider him part of the Roy Wheeler family. He came to our chili cook-off a few weeks ago that benefited Toy Lift, and we just had a blast with him. And so they do a great job. And Cynthia Adams, who started this thing back in the day, and now it's in a number of different places in the country. So fantastic folks, and something that anybody should consider for their own home.
Your friend Patrick Welshin says hello and says you're doing a great
Patrick.
job here. All right, how about this? Give us the nitty-gritty, like the shoe leather on the streets, the stories, you with clients, walking through homes, finding homes, trials and tribulation stories that people, the juicy stuff. Alex, why don't you go first here? Give us a good one.
So home inspections are always really fun. You just
Ron will agree with that.
That was sarcasm. That was sarcasm. As an agent, I'm not a contractor. I'm not a home inspector. I can learn every time I go into a house and see something wrong. I then look for it in the next house. So one of the most common things you'll find around here is Quest piping. And depending on the piping, some people are going to take it. Some people are going to ask that it all gets ripped out and replaced. Some people are going to ask for credits. And you just never know how that negotiation is going to go. You find things with foundation cracks, and you find things all the time that you might not have seen on the first, second, and third look through, but then an inspector comes and he uses a flashlight and you notice all sorts of things. Luckily, I've only had a few inspections where clients walked away, and it was the right decision. Never have I been in a situation where my client walked away and I have my hands up in the air like, I don't know what just happened. And I'm very thankful for that. But home inspections they can definitely throw a wrench. Sometimes you might need longer than 3 days to negotiate everything because you have to get a specialist in. You've got to get a mold specialist or a plumber or an electrician. And these guys are busy. And, it takes a lot of time out of their day to come, give you estimates and quotes. But at the end of the day, that's doing your diligence. That's making sure that you're not buying a house that is full of repairs that you're not ever going to be able to take on.
Ryan?
Yeah, it's
I
funny.
can't wait
it's
to
funny.
hear
Yeah, so
this.
I don't have as many experiences to draw on, but mine is also a home inspection story. I'm working on a contract right now, and thankfully we have two parties that really are happy to make a deal. And some things came up in the home inspection, and there's an HOA, and so it's kind of unclear what the HOA covers and how to handle that. So for me, having that third party has made things very interesting and challenging, but we're working through it. Again, all parties are we're happy to work it out. But it's been interesting, and I'm also glad I walked through on the home inspection and saw a lot of things that I'll certainly be looking for on the next one, just to get ahead of that. But you're right. I mean, when you're walking through, you don't always see these things, and they're trained to see them. But then when you miss it, you think, "Wow, how did I miss that?" But it's it's just the experience of it. So, but yeah, it's definitely been a challenge. But I've enjoyed it. I've learned a lot from it, and I think we're gonna get through it just fine. I'm not worried about it. So yeah, but again, it's been a fun challenge.
I want to back up just for a quick second in regards to the process and the due diligence of choosing the right company, because just like you said, you've got 5 or 6 real estate companies watching the show right now. All those folks are great folks and run really good companies or are part of really good companies. And I think what Alex said earlier is so important when you're thinking about getting into the real estate business. Obviously, getting the license and everything is the first part, but making the right decision on where you want to open your business is absolutely essential. And there are a number of different things that I talk through with folks when they're meeting with us, including encouraging them to talk to other people, because I want them to make the right choice. And if the right choice is us, that's great. If the right choice is somebody else, that's okay too. And so there's certain things that I walk through with folks, and one of them in particular is training. But the one that Alex hit on that I think is really true is the culture and the people that you're going to work around. And so one piece of advice I would give to anybody who's thinking about doing it, and once they've taken the test and everything, is do your due diligence. Go to the companies that you feel like are places you want to see what they're doing, but then ask if they don't offer. Ask, can I come to a training program in your office? And that does two things. One, it lets you see how they train, and the person who's training, is it somebody that knows what they're doing and keeps it interesting and that kind of thing. But two, you meet the agents that are in those classes, and so you get a feel from a culture standpoint. So if you narrow it down to, in most situations, if you narrow it down to a couple companies or 2 or 3 companies, if you do that, one of them is going to jump to the top. Because of the training aspect of it, because of the people that they meet, the feeling that Alex said that, hey, they're going to be people that have my back. I like to believe that we're a company that is sort of a hands down, a helping hands down type of company, because when Ryan comes into the company and he meets Alex has been in the business for a little bit. He's had some things happen, and so when Alex is thinking about something or whatever, hey, let me help this guy the way that such and such helped me. And that just is an ongoing process. The thing I talked about earlier, that Becky has done different things to help different people. So when she asked if she needed some help, there were a number of people that reached out to her, which was a wonderful thing to see. And I've certainly learned that through my health ordeal this past year, that for the most part, I think I am a giving person. I think I'm somebody who cares about people and tries to give back. And so when I faced my own adversity, it was amazing to me how many people wanted to help in some way, because I had deposited a lot of that in the bank. And so people were willing to return it, if you will. And so I think it's really important if you're thinking about the process. Here's one thing I will say. Even if you never get in the real estate business, it doesn't hurt to take the class, because at some point you may buy or sell a house. And there are companies, we have it, you certainly talk to people if they'd like to know about it. We have, a referral part of our company, which is you're not active in the business, but you have an active license. And so if you hear somebody who's thinking about buying or selling, you could reach out to Alex, or you could reach out to Ryan or Keith and Yonna or whoever and say, hey, I've got these people that want to buy or sell. Can you help them? Yes, I can. And then they pay you a referral fee, which you then get a portion of that out of that. And you don't have to do anything other than have taken the test. And it only takes us one referral to pay you back for the cost that was, including your time involved. So if it's something you're thinking about, the first step is to go through that class. Some people, you take the class and go, gosh, I'd never do this. But as these guys have already said very, very well, that class is really just checking the box. That's just 60 hours checking the box, so that you get to take another test and you check that box, and then the real fun begins.
I hadn't even seen a contract before I'd done the test.
Exactly
and
right.
to me, that seemed a little odd. I was like, shouldn't I be doing a contract?
Yeah.
And trying to figure out how to do this correctly.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that continued ed at CAR, that's where you get a lot of your hands-on education, as well as at the office. That's really important.
Yeah.
This
Absolutely.
portion of the show, thanks to Mac Weems State Farm. Mac Weems State Farm, one of the newest sponsors here at Real Talk. I would love to throw the branding and marketing question. You guys walked into an advertising agency.
Yeah.
You guys are a great dichotomy of this. You grew up in the area, know a lot of people, have an established brand. You, newer to the area,
That's right.
having to build
That's
your
right.
brand.
Yes.
You guys take the show away from us here. Take this topic here, how you leverage your personal brand and your roots in the community, and you, Ryan, how you're growing this personal brand. Because as we know, and as Keith just said, Smith from the Caribbean on the stream, it's all about relationships and human connection in this business. The show is yours on that topic.
you mean take it?
Sure.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
So forming your own brand, I find the more that I can just be me, the more business comes my way. It comes down to, I never want to come across as being a cheesy car salesman. I'm helping you make the biggest decision of your life. You can go buy a car any month. Right place at the right time has a lot to do with everything, and being a creature of habit, doing the same thing over and over again, getting into a routine. whether it's, running into you at the ACAC or wherever, just people seeing you and recognizing you. Ultimately, here at year 3, I've had more people contact me in the last month than I ever had, just because of relevance and running into them in the street. And they're like, you know what? That's right. Alex is a realtor. I want to buy or sell this spring. So right place at the right time, it doesn't have a whole lot to do with branding, but if you are your own brand, ultimately being at the right time, right place at the right time is going to be able to lead to hopefully a good lead and maybe a sale.
What do you think, Ryan?
Yeah, so I do not know as many people here. I know, thankfully, quite a bit of people in the restaurant industry, so I'm making sure that they all know what I'm doing now. And yeah, it's about reminding people what you do. And we're from Lynchburg, so I'm putting it out there as well to all the folks there that I'm here in Charlottesville doing this. But yeah, I have to build up from scratch a little bit more. So I'm open to I'm doing a lot more open houses, and I'm focusing on the Earlysville area that I live in. I'm coming with the I'm your neighbor approach, and that's what I'd like to be to them, just that neighbor, the source of information when they need it, and just keeping them informed and reminded about that. Just saying yes to a lot more things. I mean, getting involved. My wife is in education, so I'll be, of course, joining her in more events that I'm invited to. Saying yes to, I said, softball recently. So just
this morning, recently, saying yes to this.
Yes, exactly.
I heard you were a really good softball player. That's the word on the street.
I played a little bit, my dad.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just getting out there. I'm certainly pushing myself outside my comfort zone a little bit, but you have to. I mean, you have to in this business. So just trying to make myself known to more people, meeting more people, and just being a source of information.
And I think to add on to that, Jerry, this whole aspect, the crazy thing about this business is it is your own business. And so it's real easy to get distracted or to get, you look at your calendar one day and you think, gosh, there's nothing on my calendar. Oh, good. I can take the day off. I can go play golf, or I can go hiking, or I can go do whatever. When instead your attitude should be, oh, crap.
There's nothing
nothing on my calendar, right? Because as these guys hear me talk all the time, that and again, for folks who are thinking about being in the business, or if you're in the business and your business isn't where you want it to be right now, an hour and a half every day should be in your calendar to generate new business. And for these guys this morning, this hour, hopefully somebody hears what they have to say, and they were able to build rapport with you online and gain some credibility by talking about what they know, and you see that there are people that care, and you reach out to them, and so that could be an opportunity. But at least an hour and a half a day, whether it's handwritten notes or previewing houses and meeting neighbors and just saying that you're in the real estate business, chamber events, whatever the case may be, there should be an intentional time blocking of generating new business, because it isn't about, I like to look at new homes. And here's the thing. You can like to look at new homes all day long. You can know the contract back and forth all day long. You can be a great negotiator all day long. If you don't have anybody to do it with, it doesn't matter. And therefore, the filling the pipeline with contacts and making new business. And I think one of the biggest, and I'd love for you guys to talk about this, one of the biggest challenges when you first get in this, especially if you've been doing something else, is managing your time. And understanding this is a full-time business. It's not a part-time business. And it's so easy to get people caught up in that by, okay, I'm going to go out to coffee and I'm not going to come in till then and whatever. And the next thing you know, the day's gone. And what did you do to produce? And I used to have a little sign above my phone. There were two things that were on it. And one was, have you made a positive difference in the world today? That was just something I really wanted to do. I also had it in my car so that I wouldn't be a jerk driving. But the other one was, have you made an appointment today? And my goal was I had to have a new appointment every day. Now, it could have been an appointment for 6 months from now, or this next spring, or whatever, but it was something new. And if I didn't have it, back then you didn't have computers at home and stuff, so I literally had to go home, spend time with my wife and the kids, and then after the kids went to bed, I would go back to the office and figure out, is there somebody I can write a note to, or is there something to try to generate business? Because that was my goal, was I had to have a new appointment every day, and the way you do that is that you're disciplined. You have the desire to be successful, but you've got to have the discipline to do the things to reach the destination that you're trying to reach.
Great comments right there. You want to jump in?
Yeah, so for me, that's actually been one of the more difficult parts about starting out is speaking to managing time is prioritizing. Because when you do have that open space in your calendar, it's what should I do? There's so many things to do that you can do. And so that's the biggest problem I have or the trouble I have now is just which thing is it going to be right now? Which box do I want to check? So time blocking, I know Michael talks about that a lot, is really important, and that's going to be something I'm going to try to be a lot better at in the new year is time blocking and being strict and sticking to it, because there's always something you can be doing, whether it's getting your name out there, volunteering, research, education. So that's certainly a challenge. But Michael, Yonna, Keith, everybody at Roy Wheeler are really good at holding us accountable and kind of, not pressure, but not pressuring us, but, just asking us, have you been working on this? Have you been working on that? And that's been really helpful because I don't want to say no.
So a couple fun kind of side spins to that in regards to the accountability. So we really believe in the accountability. And as you know, I'm in this 180 project, right? I'm complete turnaround of my physical condition and trying to keep my weight in the 180s after having gone through the Guillain-Barré diet plan, which I wouldn't recommend. But so to make my point, about a month ago, we had a class on Tuesday morning, and I said to these guys, look, I just bought a brand new thing of peanut M&Ms. They're in my office. It was Tuesday. I said, on Friday, you have permission to call me, to text me, to email me, and ask me, did my hand go in that jar over the next 3 or 4 days? Because I love peanut M&Ms, and I have them there so when agents have a desire for a snack or something, they're there, and I get a chance to say, hey, how you doing? What's going on with your day? And sure enough, several people remembered, right? And thankfully, I was able to say, no, my hand didn't go in there because I knew you were going to call me, right? And so the point was that this accountability can make such a difference. If I'm going to meet with Yonna on Monday and she's going to ask me how many houses did I preview or did you do this or do that, come Friday, if I haven't done it, man, I'm going to do something over this weekend so I can say, yeah, well, I didn't get it all done, but at least I got this done versus going in there with my hat in my hands going, I didn't do squat, right? And then this time blocking thing, and this is true for anybody that's watching the show. It's about real estate, but it's about everything else. I would challenge everybody to take a week at a glance page where it has all 7 days and 15 or 30-minute blocks. And just for the fun of it, 1 week, if you can do it 2 weeks, it's really good. But for 1 week, at breakfast or at lunch or whatever, you sit back and you fill in all the squares, if they're not already filled in, as to how you use those 15 or 30 minutes. I'm going to tell you, folks, it's mind-blowing to see how much time you have that you didn't...
That's wasted.
That's wasted.
Yeah. I color code mine in 30-minute blocks.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. And when you look at that, you can say,
It's
did
so
I have
much
a
easier.
productive day or did I have sort of... And not that we shouldn't have some days where we just kind of,
Chill.
chill, get
Yeah.
refreshed, that kind of thing. But I still do this myself, 37 years later, I still do this from time to time just to check in to see, am I being productive with the time I have? And so if that can be true for anybody. Don't do it now in the holidays because your schedule's, it's all over the place, right? But after the first year, just to kind of get everybody's back in the gym and all that kind of thing. If you want to take your temperature in regards to how you spend your time, try that. And just don't, you're going to find that you're more productive already because you're thinking about, oh my gosh, I have to write in this count and I didn't do this and that kind of thing. But it can really make a difference and it's very eye-opening.
We have some comments coming in for you guys specifically. We'd like to thank Marie Bett for being a part of this program.
Yeah, absolutely. They're phenomenal.
Rose Hill or Water Street, Marie Bett, fantastic spot. Alex, your page is blowing up. Rachel Sligar. Alex is such a great realtor. John Updike wanted us to know that he's watching right now. Debbie Dedamore says, hi, Michael. Hi, Alex.
From the Midwest.
Yeah,
From the
your
Midwest.
better half, Lily Adams, she's watching. You look sharp, honey.
There you go.
Daryl William Moran says, go, Alex, go. Michael O'Brien is just loving what he's seeing right now. Give it a like and a share on any of the streams you're watching. This is an interesting question. I'll throw it to you, Alex. This is from Keith at the beach right now. As new agents in the game, how do you see the current status of the market as we're fast approaching 2020? What do you see next year's market shaking out to be like?
Well, I can already say there's been a change in the market from when I started 3 years ago to where there is now. And
How so?
it's just supply and demand.
No supply?
No supply. I do think that prices have gotten a little bit more realistic lately, especially the last 6 months, the last year. Even though the supply is still low, people are less likely to buy a house that's overpriced because they just know better. They've learned. Even with the low interest rates, people are still a little bit more hesitant, or they're going to hold out for a more expensive new construction house versus getting into an established neighborhood and having to, put in a new kitchen and new bathrooms. Where is the market going to go this year? So based off of what conversations I've had and research that I've done, I think we're going to reach a little bit of a plateau in regards to the buyer and seller supply and demand. New construction is catching up, slow but steady. A lot of people can't afford it, but there is homes available. So I see that the supply, I'm hoping, increases a little bit and becomes a little bit more of a buyer's market. That's my prediction.
What do you think, Ryan?
I think Alex would be the one that I would ask that question personally. So being new to the market, I mean, I've been kind of focused on Earlysville, and so I don't have the long period of research to fall back on. But where I've been looking, the days on market seem to be kind of lengthening a little bit.
Absolutely.
And with the rates the way they are, I think it's a good time for buyers to come in and make an offer they're comfortable with. But at the same time, prices are still kind of high. So, I mean, you might tell me I'm wrong here, but it seems like there's almost a balancing act there, where neither one side isn't holding all the cards. That's just kind of my look for in the area that I've been focused on, but I wouldn't speak to the market as a whole based on.
And that's different for every different part of the county and the city. I think that's an important question too.
That's a huge, what you just said, Alex, is so important, because you can read the Daily Progress, you can read the Richmond Times, Washington Post, you can be online and see what's going on nationally, but it's not even statewide, it's not even local. It is literally a geographic part of Charlottesville that one may be just killing it and the other is lagging behind. Right. And it'll be lagging behind, and then all of a sudden it just kind of, in my neighborhood, we've used that as an example before. There were a couple of houses that I thought were really nice, and all of a sudden, it took a little while, but all of a sudden, boom, both got contracts within the same week, right? And so we talk about, and everybody should, if you're in the business, this whole aspect of reading the market, knowing what the market is saying, one, so that you can talk knowledgeably about it, but two, because you want to get in the way of where the market's going. So Alex mentioned new construction. I'm going to guess that we're going to be close to 1 out of every 5 homes that closed in 2019 were new construction. Wow. That's a big number, right? 18, 19, 20%. For 2 reasons that's important. One, because that can impact resale. If you're in the same price range and the same locale, people oftentimes want to choose new if they can get in it in the time frame they want versus resale. So you got to be really smart about how you market the resale home. But also, if I'm an agent, man, I got to get in the way of that. How do I communicate to people? How's my social media, the things I'm sending out to my sphere of influence, whatever, explaining that I am knowledgeable about new construction and I can help you with that, and the misconception of the fact that I don't need an agent when I buy a new home, that's wrong, and I could tell you why it's wrong in a number of different ways. But the point being is these guys need to be put in communicating in a way that they get to have that conversation, they get to educate people, and share with them why it is important to be represented in that new home.
Your lawyer with a new home is not going to come out to your house and will do walkthroughs and look through the house, but your realtor will.
Right.
And a lot of people don't. They choose to go with a lawyer for a brand new construction house, and that can be a great decision if you're working with a great reputable builder. But if you went with Joe Schmo, you could have things go wrong left and right, and ultimately the attorney is going to be there, to help you, but your realtor is going to be there to walk through the house, point things out, and you can cry on their shoulder. That's not going to happen with the lawyer.
Well, another thing that people don't know, and it's a really simple piece of math, is that about 60% of the new homes that are sold in the Charlottesville area have a realtor involved in them. All right? And the builders know that. They're smart. They're successful businesses. So they've built the commission into the deal, into the base price. And so you're getting, whether you use a realtor or not, that money is still going, you can still have it and have representation too. And so the point being is, you take a neighborhood, a $400,000 neighborhood, Jerry, and there are 10 of them. So there's 400,000 times 10, that's $4 million in volume. And let's just assume for the sake of discussion, it's a 3% commission. That's $120,000, right? So $120,000, you divide that by 10, and that's $12,000 per transaction. If 60% of 120,000, that's 72,000. So what that means is $6,000 of those 10 houses have been added into the base price because they know that 6 out of 10 of those are going to sell with a realtor. And so in most situations, and maybe some exceptions, but for the most part, you go in without a realtor, you're going to pay the same price as if you go in with a realtor. So why not go in with a realtor, be represented, have an intermediary with what's an emotional deal of building a house, having somebody that can speak for you and be there for you and make sure you're hearing things correctly. But the point of all that is reading the market knows, hey, I need to communicate that I can do that for people.
That's good advice right there. Pam Klein says hello, your mom. She said
Hey,
you're
Mom.
looking sharp too. How about the conversation you have with people on the fence? You're thinking about selling your home.
Yep.
There's not much supply on the market.
Yep.
Seems like a really good time to list your home when there's not a lot of competition out there. What's that convo like?
It's be realistic with your pricing. Like,
Yeah.
do you want it to sell in the market standard in 60 or less days, or around 60 days, or you don't want it to sit for 3-4 months?
That's not an easy conversation.
It's not an easy conversation because ultimately, yes, as a listing agent, of course, we want our sellers to get top dollar for their property. Obviously, we want to sell at top dollar too for our stats. But at the end of the day, the movement of the market is the goal, and the quicker you can sell a property, the better it is for everybody. But the conversation is often tough to have, whether they're willing to drop the price or make an improvement. And sometimes it doesn't make sense to do either, and sometimes it makes sense to do both, or just one or the other. So conversations with people listing, you want to get your return on your investment. So if you're going to put money into a house to get it ready for sale, speak to a realtor, speak to a contractor before you start ripping out all the carpet and redoing all the kitchens. People like to redo their own kitchens these days. They like to redo their own bathrooms. If the house has good bones, if it's in a good location, the likelihood that someone else has another vision for that house when they move in is pretty high.
Plus, the money that you put in doesn't always translate to value.
And that's exactly what I was getting.
So, yeah.
You'll hear people like, oh, well, I have 10 grand to put into this property. I'm going to do this. And a lot of the time I tell them, you're not going to get that money back. Yeah. You should actually just go ahead and drop your price 10 grand and then.
So Ryan, let me
yourself.
take it a different direction for a second, because you have had some experience with this deal that you're working on. Talk about this whole aspect of deal killers. And what I mean by that is, going back to the home specs for a minute, having that conversation with the client, going back to what Jerry just asked, in regards to, you want to get certain things done and repaired, but to explain to the client, hey, we can ask for a number of different things, but they may come back and say they're not going to do some of those things. How do you have that conversation with somebody to find out exactly, okay, what is it that's going to cause you not to move forward? Right. Well, so that we can be on track with what we're trying to accomplish.
So the first thing I spoke to my client about is, imagine you're the seller. If anything we ask for, we want it to ask for the things that you want, but you have to think in their point of view too, and what they've already done and what they're willing to do. So that was the first thing we talked about, to always have that perspective, and then just go through. Look, when you take control of this home, what are you prepared to do? What are you willing to do? And if you're just not willing to do it, maybe this isn't the house for you. So just be mentally prepared and financially prepared to take care of anything that may be denied in the HRCA. So that's been tough, especially with this HOA, because some things we requested, it appeared, and we haven't received the HOA docs yet. So it appeared that they were fell under the HOA, but now it turns out that not everything necessarily is. So it's and so we've had that conversation a couple of times. Like, look, what would break this? So thankfully we haven't come to anything so far that's gonna kill this. But it's certainly, it's just making them aware of and reminding them that if this isn't fixed when you move in, it's gonna be on you. So make sure you have the money and the time and the willingness to do it.
So I think one thing Ryan and I encounter a lot are first-time home buyers. That's mainly what I'm specializing at this point. And this is one of the biggest conversational pieces in the negotiation, your make or break moment with the home inspection. And I always advise people, look at the big picture. Look at your major systems. Does it have a good roof? Does it have good plumbing? Does it have good electrical? Are your appliances in good working order? Are they offering a home warranty? Are they not? Why aren't they even offering it? A home warranty is so easy to negotiate these days. And sometimes you'll get into an offer with an agent. It's just like, there's $500 there. You can take it off the top when the house closes and pay for a home warranty to ensure that this deal goes through. So you got to prep your buyers that at some point you might get to a make or break, and it is, if they don't have money to do a roof over the course of 5 years, they shouldn't buy the house. And it is our job as realtors, not just to facilitate the transaction, but to make sure that it's the right transaction to even be in the first place. There's nothing wrong with walking away from an offer if it is not in your best interest. I would never encourage anybody to continue going through with something that ultimately in 3 years I'm going to get a phone call and say, why did you sell me this house? It's a money pit. If you haven't seen Money Pit with Tom Hanks, you need to see it, especially as a first-time home buyer. Because we're forced to buy a lot of older houses. Not every first-time home buyer is buying a brand new construction house. So we're buying things knowing that there's a couple deficiencies that, hey, we might need to put in a new HVAC system. Hey, we might need to do roof. If you got to do all three, I hope you're planning on, or I hope you plan on making some more money over the next couple of years. But it does get to point, not every transaction gets to a point where you make or break, luckily. But it's a big thing, especially with first-time home buyers, because you shouldn't be in a situation where you're buying a home that has too many repairs for you to do.
Great answer. We'll thank Mike Bittrick, First Heritage Mortgage, for being a part of this program. Michael Guthrie.
First Heritage, they're good people across the board. They're good people. They're people who want to do it the right way and make sure people are happy. And Mike is great along with the rest of his team. Just going back to what we were just talking about, and we've talked about this on the show before, Jerry, the importance of the home warranty, both from a seller and a buyer's standpoint. There are two things. One is, and these guys hear me say this all the time, home inspection is absolutely critical to the process. And if you're in a competition and somebody says, well, you can't have a home inspection, I'm saying and telling the agents to say, you guys think really clearly on this, because that home inspection is so critical for you to know that house. And if they still want to go through it without having a home inspection, I want them signing something in blood that we had this conversation, so that when it does turn bad, you don't say, why didn't you advise me differently? But the way that can really be helpful with that is that these home warranties, there are a number of different reputable companies that we have at Roy Wheeler Realty Company, and other companies have them as well. But for $500-600, you can have a home warranty that for a year, if the HVAC goes bad, and you're going to make a policy that covers the HVAC, of course, but for a deductible, it's going to get repaired, or it could even be replaced, right? Refrigerator, dishwasher.
And the home inspection might help you find which warranty is going to work best for you, because you might need it to be a little beefier on.
That's right.
Like you were just
and then
saying.
The cool thing about a lot of people don't realize, and sellers don't realize this, is they can have a home warranty on their house while it's listed and not pay a dime until it closes. And if it never sells or doesn't close, you're free. And if something breaks, you're getting it for the deductible, and you haven't even paid the policy yet. So for me, it's crazy for a seller not to do that, because it just becomes a cost of sale, and at the time of closing, that money gets paid, and then the buyer gets it for a year after it closes.
How about home warranty? Seems like a no-brainer. I'm going to throw that topic. Barrett Davina says you're doing a hell of a job right here.
Thank you,
How
Barrett.
about the title insurance? I'm learning this firsthand right here. We'll give love to Charlottesville Settlement Company, Bill Tucker and his team there. Fantastic option for the home buying and selling experience. So and you know a little bit about this. I teased this a little bit to you before the show. We got to the top of the 9th inning. I'm not going to say the exact address. I will say the neighborhood of a home in Glenmore. And we were close to a done deal. The sellers, they literally had not paid their mortgage in almost 18 months. And then, as we're in the top of the 9th inning on this home, excited about this purchase, the home heads into foreclosure. Literally, my wife is I understand how the game is played, done some transactions here. This is her first one. She was devastated. So the title insurance, you're very seasoned with it. Title insurance.
It's absolutely critical. And I would take it even one more step. The lenders, if you're borrowing money, the lender's going to require it.
Yep.
So you're already paying that portion. You absolutely want the owner enhanced part, because that's what protects your equity. Whatever you put down in the property and the equity that you build up because of appreciation, if you don't have that, the lender's coverage is like, what do they call that? I can't think of it now from a life insurance, as you get older, it shrinks, right? So the lender insurance is, as you pay down the loan, your coverage goes down. So you buy a $400,000 house, you got $350,000 loan, and you pay it down and it's $300. Well, there's that your lender's insurance is only covering $300 now. You now got $100,000, right, in equity. So if you're not covering yourself, you're crazy. It's insurance, and if you never have to use it, yeah, it's a waste of money, but you only need to use it once. And the important part of it is, in this situation, okay, they didn't pay their mortgage, but it could also be that they probably didn't pay their homeowners association. And that's even more
Multiple
so.
liens on the property.
Because
Maybe
that's
there's
multiple liens.
county taxes too.
County taxes, they could have had work done.
Definitely
and
the HOA.
mechanics liens on the property. So that title search that they do, if you have title, so just as an example, let's say it went through, and you
We would have been responsible.
well, but let's say you went through the title search and you would have been responsible for some, and you agreed to do that because it was a good deal or whatever. But then you get the right type of title insurance. After the fact, something else gets placed on that property. You didn't even know about
Another
it.
debt that
That's
hasn't
where the title insurance comes in, because if they give you clear title to close on the property, and you have a title binder that says owner enhanced coverage, then anything that happens after the fact, you're covered. So in other words, like example, you didn't know that the storage shed back in the back that you're gonna put your brand new mowing lawn tractor so you can drive around with your son on mowing the lawn is not on your property. It's on the neighbor's property. And you may not know that until you go to sell the house. And then you go to sell it and somebody does a survey and you say, hey, this isn't on your property. Well, that's where title insurance comes in. They fight that for you and resolve it. I've had deals where properties were sold and the well wasn't on the right property. Try that one on for size. That somehow the well got drilled on your next door neighbors, and nobody ever cared. It was back there in the back, and nobody ever
Or
cared.
easements.
I saw a property the other
Yeah.
day that had a shared well. Two properties sharing a well.
Yeah. So again, it just, insurance is what it is. Insurance is what you pay for in case something bad happens. If it never happens, yeah, that money's down the drain. But if it does happen,
It's a
man,
no-brainer.
you want it.
Jump in here. You got some stuff to add on this. I can tell. Your wheels are turning.
No, honestly, Michael said it. You're paying for insurance so that that at the end of the day you have that peace of mind that if someone were to come back with a mechanic's lien, because and sometimes contractors forget to submit bills, or it takes them a month later for their accounts person to finally send off a bill. So if you were to get another bill on top of what's already going on with this property you're trying to buy, I mean, that you're going to be saved.
Jerry, the great thing about being on Keith and Yonna's show,
Yeah.
here the guy is down wherever he is. He should be out.
He's giving us
sitting there.
instructions.
Yeah, he's grading me.
I know.
Right? If I don't get the right answer, he's giving me the ansers, which I really appreciate. But he's right there saying,
I'm getting him text
owner's
messages.
owner's title, trusted advisor,
Call
whatever. God. So anyway, I'm making sure that what I say, I'm checking to make sure I've said the right
That
thing
was
on
funny.
his show.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Catherine Ferguson, is that family to you?
Yes. Hello, Mom.
Very informative program, Ryan. You're doing a heck of a job right
thank
here.
you.
You guys, it has been good. 2 minutes left here. Why don't we throw this topic to you, Michael? You jump in as well. Why should buyers and sellers trust you guys for their most, arguably behind marriage, most important decision of your life? Alex.
So I think, and this goes back to branding, is, at the end of the day, I'm competing against myself. Yes, I'm competing against other agents in the area, but I honestly try to put the blinders on a lot of the time and just focus on what can I do today for my clients, for my people. Because if you get focused on what's going on, who's the new hotshot agent, you're gonna lose track of what you were doing right in the first place. So I would say to people, look, I'm competing against myself, and I can only, hopefully get better from each contract and each transaction and each relationship to the next. And one of the biggest things we've already talked about is I'm a relationship guy. You become a friend or a client of mine, and you're probably going to remain a friend or a client of mine for a long time. Loyalty is key. Having a trusted realtor and professional that you can go to, and I get phone calls from clients sometimes. They don't even want to talk about their house or the problems with their house. They just want to chat and catch up, go get a drink, and You know, if you can just be yourself and be a loyal person and do your diligence at the end of the day, you know, I think that's what people are really looking for. Some people are looking for that cutthroat, competitive, hotshot agent. I'm not going to lie and say I'm that guy. I'm the guy that you might be able to cry on your shoulder if you need to one day. But I'm also going to, you know, help hold your hand and talk you through the process from start to finish. And some agents, you know, get bogged down with first-time home buyers because it is it's a longer process.
I respect your sensitive side, Alex
Yeah,
Tiscornia.
that's
How about you, Ryan? Jump in
Yeah,
here.
I mean, I'm totally the same in terms of relationships. I mean, to me, that's the most important part, and honesty. So, you know, I want this to be a process that is comfortable for the buyer or seller. They have their jobs. You know, this is something that's also on their plate, but, you know, this is our job. So I want to be able to take a lot of that heat on my own shoulders, and honesty. If I don't know how to handle something, I'll tell you, and I'm going to find out. I mean, all those tools are at our fingertips. So, yeah, it's just about, you know, being someone that they're comfortable around and that they trust, and that will find the information they need and get them through the challenges when they come up.
Good answer, fellas.
So let me just, from my standpoint, why trust these guys as realtors? My answer is a little bit different. Why trust Roy Wheeler with your home or a buyer or whatever company it is, because there are obviously a lot of good companies. Why trust the Yes team? It's because we're trying to earn that trust. That's the key. Why do you trust us? Because we earned it. You know, we talk all the time about earning the right to do business with you, earning the right to be your realtor, asking somebody, if you were going to buy or sell a house or you knew somebody that was, would you call me? And if they say, well, I'm not sure, we're just getting to know each other, I said, that's great. I just want you to know I want to do everything I can to earn the right to have you trust me with that business, and I'm going to consider it a privilege. And that's the key. That is absolutely key, that we, each and every day, we make moments matter. You know, each and every day, we're trying to earn the right to be with folks. And with that comes the trust.
Fantastic closing point. You guys crushed it. Seriously.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you for having us.
Our pleasure. This show will be archived on ilovecville.com. For the next 30 days, we will syndicate it across our network. We have 17 Facebook pages, 17 Twitter accounts, the third largest Instagram in the community, an e-newsletter that goes out to 118,000 inboxes. We'll take the audio and turn it into a podcast, and you can catch the full version on the website. The show is powered by the Yes Team Realtors, Keith and Yonna Smith. Next week, I believe we have Charlottesville City Councilor Heather Hill joining us here on set to talk some affordable housing and some trends that are happening in Charlottesville.
Be interesting to hear her comments on this CRB.
We may talk about that.
Yeah.
I'm super excited for it. I hope you guys have a fabulous rest of your Friday. Be safe, keep it local, have a good time, support Charlottesville. Have a good morning. Take care. Excellent work.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's great.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
That wasn't that bad, was it?
We'll have a
You did great. You both did great, and it was a lot less painful than going to the dentist, I think.
Excellent job.
Yeah, I appreciate it. That was fun.
We will, so a couple